Well, I think we're close enough to 7 o'clock to start the meeting. So this is the Nottingham Planning Board, June 22nd, 2016. And I'd like to go around the table here and just have everybody introduce themselves, starting with Buzz.
Robert Davies, alternate.
Teresa Bascom.
John Moran.
Charlene Anderson.
Edward Gill. Dirk Rotenhuis.
Susan Mooney.
Gary Anderson.
And Paul Colby, Code Administrator.
So we have a few things on the agenda as usual. So we'll start off by having the first public hearing. This is case P16006 SUB. This is a continuance from a previous hearing. This is the application for lot 6, or for a 6-lot subdivision along Sachs Road. The applicant's here to speak to the board and let us know what has changed since the last time, and maybe just an update on what has happened since the last time we all met. I know there's been...
Finally got some rain since.
That wasn't enough.
No, it wasn't. You missed the last meeting, but.
Just introduce yourself
Okay, I'm
for the
Roscoe
record.
Blaisdell. I'm the land surveyor, wetland scientist, and septic designer for the project, and I need all 3 hats to do this.
Yep. Thank you.
At our last meeting, there was an issue on how to use Sachs Road as a driveway for a house, and that was resolved afterwards. So all the lots will be using Mountain Road except the very first lot. So to let the first lot use that Sachs Road as a driveway, we renumbered the lots. So the first lot on the right is 150, which is the parent number, and then we just work our way left, 150-1, 2, 3, 4, and then the big lot on the left is 150-1. So that's the major change you'll see. I did just clarify the contiguous buildable areas, and I actually put down how big they were, and they're all, you know, over the 30,000 required. I'll be doing a site walk with the highway department probably in a week or so. They're so backed up, but we've been rattling the cage a little bit, and he'll be walking with us probably in a week and a half from now. So, and I don't see any issues.
Okay. With the state?
The state, yeah, because we're on a state highway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul, is there anything in addition to that?
Yeah, we're having a couple things they fixed. The driveway servicing proposed lots, which is now numbered -3 and 4, wasn't on the lot line. That has been moved. The revision block has been updated. I'm scrolling over my notes here. He has eliminated the steep slopes within the buildable area as well as a part of Sachs Road. The notes were changed as suggested, and he has requested a waiver that you should have in your packets to waive the requirement of showing the topo for the remaining 72+ acres, which staff supports. I mean, we're down now that staff's recommendation is we're ready to accept with condition, and the 2 set conditions would be actually the monuments being set and the DOT numbers when they come through.
Since this is a continued public hearing, we are required to allow public to still speak. So I would like to open it up if there are any other public entities or public persons who would like to speak to come on up forward. Seeing none, or seeing none, we can now close the public hearing and then take it to the board for action. I think the first item of the action would be a discussion of action, but a motion for the waiver of the topo would be the first thing of action. I don't think this is any other, we often do allow this waiver
Yeah.
for very large tracts where there is no real impacts to that other parts of the property.
That's correct.
So not to burden, you know, a landowner to providing topo on an entire tract of land. It would just be specific to where subdivision would be.
I don't need the work.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the waiver for case P16-006 sub to exclude or not have to show topography for the tract of land not included in subdivision.
There's a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous. And now to the approval or conditional approval of the subdivision as presented, as it was recommended by Paul Colby. Looks like the majority, or if not all of the things that were asked at the last meeting have been taken care of, and then the two outstanding ones would be the state DOT driveway approvals, and what was the other one, Paul?
Monument sets.
And monument set,
Yep.
which is always a constant. Is there any other discussion or motions?
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the plans for case P16-006 sub with the conditions of state DOT driveway sets and monuments.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any other discussion?
Yeah, so just so it's reflected, the opinion, the legal opinion, is that one we can share on the record?
Yeah, because we actually just saved the town money, we went through the municipal association. And-
So,
Yep, go
I
ahead.
just want to,
Yeah.
just to put it out there then, so the, one of the questions at the last meeting was in regards to what's listed now as lot 150, the furthest most lot on the right, which would be the south, with access on Mountain Road and Saks Road. Question was, with our zoning requiring curb cuts / driveways on the frontage, so the opinion was that by renumbering these and giving this the tax map, or having this remain tax map 150, it holds on to its access rights, which are basically grandfathered in, so the, so that's what covers us on that. And then we, as we discussed at the last meeting, by doing so, the remaining area, lot 150-5, would no longer have any access rights off of Saks Road for future development. The driveways would have to come in off of Mountain Road.
Okay. Thanks.
Before you vote, Susan, did you wanna
Yeah,
get into the record, your
Yes.
sidewalk? Yeah.
I forget what day it was. Was it Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday.
Tuesday I came over, yeah.
On June 21st, the members of the Conservation Commission and Roscoe and Ken and Gloria Sachs walked the properties. We started initially at what is now known as Lot 150, the parent lot, and walked down Sachs Road to see where the proposed driveway would be on Sachs Road and not on Mountain Road. And to a person on the commission, and there were a couple of guests that the commission had invited as well, the driveway access off Sachs Road made a lot more sense than coming off Mountain Road. Not only for the topography issues, but also for sight distance. You wouldn't have to clear as much brush in order to be able to have that 400 feet line of sight. And then we continued back onto Mountain Road and headed north and saw where the shared driveways would be. And we also entered some of the properties to see where the houses would be sited on the properties. And we were very pleased with how this unfolded and some of the changes that have been made. This made more sense.
And I think the point of this is also to the planning board, is we have option that we can go view these properties as subdivisions come in. And I probably can, take from that, your experience is that, you know, a site visit is well worth it usually. And, you know, when we have surveyors and applicants coming up with ideas and plans, you know, they're typically have been out there and know what they're seeing, and to be able to convey that to the board. A lot of times it's easier just to go and see the property, so that's definitely a tool that we can use, and I think it's to be beneficial to some of the, applications that'll be coming forward. So that said, we have a motion and a second for conditional approval.
I do have just one minor thing. The proposed driveway for lot 150-5 falls off the plan. Is that something we could just shift as part of the conditions?
It wasn't supposed to be on here, is it? That was supposed to come off of Saks?
No, this, this one?
I don't have, let me stay.
Flips it just a smidgen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very minor.
yeah, I mean, that's the proposed, where they're proposing to put a driveway when they go to, if they ever go to develop it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
And I know that's, you know, that's
Right.
completely variable, but,
Yeah.
so I just didn't know if we should have them shift it as a part of the condition.
Madam Chair,
Well, we,
having been to registry, that's likely going to hit back, so it would be definitely worth your while to fix that.
yeah, because some of the lines go through the numbers.
Yeah, what the registry gets isn't gonna be as busy.
Right.
as the plan, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point, Ed, either way. It's basically comes down to will the registry accept it.
And the only other
Right.
question would be, the way the driveways are proposed now for the shared driveways, the driveways would be going right over the septic leach field area? They're going right.
I don't know where the septics are going. I've found buildable areas.
So that's just showing that,
That's just showing in that 4,000 square foot area, you could get a septic anywhere in that area, yeah. If the septic's that big, they're building one huge house.
Yes. Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
so we have a motion and a second, and Ed, you wanted to include that they change the driveway?
Just so that,
We'll have to get that a new motion made.
just so that the driveway the proposed driveway is actually showing it's, right now it's cut off. I know, it's minor. He's making a few other changes.
What do you mean that it's cut off?
The proposed driveway on lot 150, it's only,
Oh, lot 150?
it's
On the remaining
150-5, I'm
70
sorry,
acres.
on the
Yeah.
remaining large parcel.
One little bit of it's clipped off. I mean, I could just move the driveway.
Right,
Yeah, that's all right.
because I know it's just it's not, you know, it's not real, so it's,
I just wanna make sure that the motion reflects what you wanted, and if it's important,
Just to show
include it
it's-
as a motion. So we'll have to, have Teresa, if you could amend your motion and agree, then.
Can I just say, and include in my motion, please, that they move the driveway so that it fully reflects on the plans?
And I'll second.
Did you second that?
First, I
She was the
did.
original.
Thank you. So motion and a second, and no further discussion. Those in favor? Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay,
Just for your sake, Ken, what'll happen next is Roscoe will make that little change, and once the state issues the driveways, he'll bring the Mylars, everything to us, we don't need to come back. At a meeting, we'll sign them all, and then Joanna will get a hold of them and we'll the registry. No problem, sir.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
night. Good night.
Stick around and find out. Stick around until you can hear. That's it. That's all we got for tonight.
Yeah, right. Oh, dear.
Well, going on to, I guess, the next case, the case P16004 SUB, which is the conventional 5-lot subdivision on Smoke Street. We do have a letter in our file that they have requested a continuance, and that continuance being, to the July 13th meeting.
In your package, you will also see last night the zoning board met. They had appealed an administrative decision on your interpretation of the legal request we had asked from town attorney. Zoning board held up the planning board and said they were in the right, and a vote of 4-1, so hence, that's why they're asking for the request. And you have a copy of the, you should have a copy of the notice of decision.
Yep.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we continue case P16-004 SUB to July 13th, 2016 at 7 PM.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second.
Have discussion.
Discussion?
So in the applicant's request, they say that they'll provide the resubmitted material a few days prior to the meeting. And just a reminder to the applicants and everyone, that we require the materials to be in at least 1 week prior to the meeting, so that'll be July 6th is the deadline.
Yeah, they're aware of it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they're gonna do a redraw of the subdivision.
Any other discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. The next case is P16007 SUB. Yes. This is an application from Gary Lorraine Anderson, 2-lot subdivision on Guile Road. And we have a letter also for a continuance. And they would like this continuance
Joanna, August 10th,
till the first
first meeting in August?
Yes.
board meeting in
August
August,
10th.
which is August 10, at 7 o'clock. I would entertain a motion to continue this until August 10.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we continue case P16-007 SUB to August 10th, 2016 at 7 PM.
I'll second.
Motion
Ed,
is
is it
second.
you? You start. Okay, thanks.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous.
That was a 4, sorry.
So that brings us to the site plan review.
Those of you that sent edits in, we compiled them today. I went to make copies, and at the end of the day, and the copier was jammed, Sue was working with somebody on it, and then I realized, looking at it, I tried changing a header of one of the appendices, and it put that appendice header on every page. So, I will correct that tomorrow, and we will email it to you. Those of you that want a hard copy, just let me know, and I know, I already got you down.
Always.
Anybody else just want, and Sue and Teresa, okay, and we'll mail that out tomorrow. Can I get a hard copy? Yep. Susan, I'll make one for everybody.
No, I don't,
All right,
I just want an electronic file.
Not till it's final.
Ed, you're okay?
No, I can print it, I'll read it in
You're okay.
electronic.
Teresa,
Can you make sure I get a copy of the Word file?
that, it'll come in Word.
Good.
That way you guys, if you wanna play with it and stuff, that's, yeah, in-house will do it for Word.
It's going to come in Word, you can send it to me electronically.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So, yep, there was a couple, the other couple things, is a couple spacing things that I was struggling with this afternoon, so I'll have Joanna help me before we send it out.
There was one page that was an obvious cut and paste in the font and the
Yeah,
size.
that's redone, that was actually cut and paste right off from the registry's website.
Yeah.
And that, I probably already got mine. That, I increased the font to match everything, yeah. So, we will take care of that tomorrow.
All right.
Ideally, when would you guys like to hold the public hearing?
ASAP.
Our recommendation is, well, we know on the 13th, we're gonna hear Flutter Street's coming back, Smoke Street's coming back. both of them could take some serious discussion.
Are those on the
What they come in.
13th?
They're both on the 13th of July. What was the dates you had suggested today?
So I said July 27th is available right now, and I can keep it available for just the public hearing if that's the desire of the board.
It's normally our workshop night. I know it's in July, so it's up to you guys, but what our thought is, that would be the only thing. We'll do the public hearing that night, and, you know, the 2 or 3 that might show up, and then we can, it's up to whenever you guys wanna meet. That's easy for you.
The Conservation Commission was wondering if we could show up on the 27th.
Absolutely.
Continuance of our discussion.
Yeah,
And then we'll get on our assignment, you know, going through the small rivers and, lower class streams.
Let's do the subdivision and the Conservation Commission
yeah, we'll do
on
the
the 27th.
site plan first, get it out of the way, then we can spend more time
Okay?
working with conservation, if that's okay with the board. You got that, Joanna?
I thought we were taking the second Wednesday off in the summers. Second.
Yeah,
If we didn't have 42 cases, and we're gonna have more cases coming in, because the applications have been going out.
And the economy's picking up, I don't think.
There's a
I don't
boatload
think
of
we're gonna-
land for sale too in Nottingham.
And a huge piece of land has just sold on Ledge Farm Road.
And there's a
right
big
across from
piece on the
Rockingham.
market on Guile Road.
Mhm.
Yep.
Wow.
Like I say, we know of two site plans. One we will see really quick. They're supposed to submit it tomorrow. That one's real easy. Up, what's the name of it? The daycare next to the school. They wanna add.
Oh, yeah, you had
They wanna
talked about
add an
that.
additional building on the backside. So, because they can't even service the people that they have now as clients with their kids coming in, so.
Okay. So now we're on to public comment, and there's no one left in the public, so we can go straight to the Board of Selectmen.
In your agendas, you'll see OEP update. That, we forgot to eliminate that. That was, unless somebody else has something new, that was given at the last
On the
meeting.
agenda.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Board of Selectmen, I think, just a couple things. The CIP is gonna start up. I don't know if you've been contacted yet, so I think they're hoping for maybe July timeframe for the first meeting. So you should probably be getting an email from Chris with that. Some Austin properties being surveyed, and we're looking for fundraising volunteers for the Marston project. And I don't know if you recall, but at our last meeting, Paul had read, there's a regional impact for development in Raymond. I went to go to that meeting, which ended up being canceled.
After all that, we talked about that day?
So I show up and they're like kind of like us if like someone shows up.
Yeah.
Who are you and what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I'm here for the, and they're like, oh no, that got put off. So it was last week, or it was, yeah, last Thursday. I couldn't go, but the planning board voted to allow the developer an extension for 2 years. So, but that's gonna be a big, the proposal is a condominium and retail complex. It's huge.
I've seen the plans. Off exit, where the fire station is, at
At
exit
five.
4? Exit 4. Right as you come off the exit, if you're coming off the exit, right on the right-hand
They've
side.
had that for years.
They've had that for years.
Yeah.
Got an additional extension, so.
The sewer line being extended and water line being extended, right?
Yeah, it's up to the, yeah, taxpayers voted it down to extend
Yeah.
water and sewer last time, so.
So that's all I have,
Okay.
and I got your note about bringing it back to.
Thank you.
So I'll just go around the room if anyone has anything to add. I'll start with Buzz.
Nothing.
All set.
Just a question. The legal opinion that we had that was appealed, last night, did town council specifically ask for us to hold that, like, keep that confident? Because like NHMA, the other legal opinion we had, because the Sachs Road case was,
Yes.
is no problem to be
He
released.
had said that is confidential,
Okay.
attorney-client privilege, and actually the case that he used to cite in that case, Doyle versus the town of Gilmington, they argued 2 points, the Doyles did. One, the whole setback issue, what we talked about, and the other one was making the, document from their lawyer. Where they goofed was they actually did it in a non-public session without the lawyer there. That's why we did it like we did. Bart was the lawyer on that case too, so that's why it was, yeah. The Supreme Court held up that the documents are, so, yeah.
And just another question, I'm sorry, I'm reversing order here. Out of line. For the New Hampshire Municipal Association, for the case we just heard, will that go into that file, so we just have record of what the,
We can write a synopsis. They actually called us with their answer. We were shocked.
but can we put that email, the email that you sent us, that correspondence into that file?
Oh,
just so that
absolutely.
there's a record?
Yeah, that's already, anytime things like that, we automatically,
Okay.
it is in the file. But yes, things like that, because the municipal association one is technically not attorney-client, because they're not our attorney of record, if you will. Right? Because if it ever got to that point, they would refer us right to our firm, so. Yeah.
We jump back one? Yeah, no,
John,
you're good?
Keep it moving, John says.
Reverb.
Sue?
Just one thing, Terry Bonzer had submitted his resignation from the Conservation Commission, citing that he was just really busy at work. And Paul Miliotis, who joined on as an alternate over a year ago, stepped up and asked to be a full member, and we were delighted. He's a world-renowned ornithologist, and he also specializes in wetland invertebrates. And he just brings a wealth of knowledge to the commission. So we approved him, and we sent his name along to the Board of Selectmen for appointment. Little vacancy. And that's it.
Gary?
Just something I had left out at our last meeting, I did give a report on the annual conference that Stratford Regional had. But we had talked about, we had a couple of questions for Stratford Regional, and I did pull a couple people aside at that point, and we've been kind of back and forth, so that's in the process. We had two pieces of interest. One was mapping, I think, for aquifers, et cetera. There was another one that's
Soils.
soil.
Was it soils?
So anyway, it's in the works.
Good.
Paul, do you have anything?
One real quick thing, our September 14th meeting, or the next one? We will actually be in September, one of our meetings will actually be in conference room 2. The police are starting up their Citizens Police Academy, and they have such a large group, they like to use this room. So, when the sergeant asked me to switch rooms, she had a gun and I didn't, so I had to say yes. Sorry, folks. No, so that was, for us, it's easier to move than them, so.
And the other option, just in case because seeing all the applications that we're getting is.
We can always use the gym,
And
yeah,
that-
if need be.
And the other option. Do we need to schedule that now? Because I know there's a lot of like crying.
Courtney and I have already talked, we've got it earmarked that if we have a case that we think we're gonna have a large crowd, the user of the gym that night will just be, and we've done that in the past, so.
Is that
Thank you.
room televised?
We can move the portable equipment into the room, it's all wired for it, yep. Yeah, we did that when we did conference room 2, we did the gym at the same time, just for that reason, so.
Also go back to the summer schedule.
You're not gonna get an argument from me. It's just, we'll be here till late nights again. Well, that's, all I know is, Ed, when you're the chairman, we're here till 11, when Dirk's here, I mean, we're looking at 7:30. I'm kidding. You had a few more things to deal with on the agenda.
I didn't think Dirk wasn't here.
I gotta keep that reputation up there. Come in when there's a really small agendas.
I think we do need to be prepared, with, like I said, with the economy picking up and everything. You know, Nottingham, unlike the surrounding towns, never really saw a stop in development. You know, going to the Raymond Planning Board joint meeting the last 2 years, you know, the other towns, Candia, Fremont, they were losing population. And they were surprised when I said, no, we've continued to see like 3% growth or so, and they were blown away by that, so.
I think it's the
The
name.
economy's getting better, it's gonna,
What name?
I think we
The
can
name
expect.
Nottingham is appealing, like, to be able to tell people you live in Nottingham.
Obviously,
We can
people don't
change it.
understand the first two letters, you know.
It's better than radio.
Change it to roadkill or
Just,
something.
real quick, sorry, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
Maple Ridge, base coat hot tops down, it's all been accepted by our engineer. They're gonna start building houses here as soon as septic approvals come through. They've got 4 already lined up to build. Phase 2, coming in off Friar Tuck, depending on the winter, as soon as they can get working next spring, phase 2 will be built.
How many lots are we looking at?
Joe is still undecided with him and I talked, phase 2 may be the whole thing, to connect what's there now. They're kinda see how many they can get built this summer. All the lots that are in phase 1, one builder has got exclusive building rights for. He's gonna fly.
Are these spec houses or are they?
They're all sold, 4 of them sold already. Yeah, well, 3 and 1 was a gift to a person.
What style? Have you s-
Customer desire.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I know, he said, talking with the builder this week, a couple of them want the 2-story box. It's what he likes to build to. He likes to build, it's the same builder that did Francesca in that subdivision, so that's the style you'll see, that's what he likes to build.
Yeah, going back to a prior comment, I think Gary had made, or maybe it was during the Concom meeting, or, you know, it was discussed about the styles, and we do have it in our, here it's in our new subregs, about that they should conform to the community. So, I don't know how much pull we actually have on that or not.
Yeah, for the
Sure they are,
conservation
they're selling out
subdivisions.
quick.
Yeah.
Every development seems like it's selling out in
Yeah.
record time.
Yeah.
Just to echo on Ed's point is, when things are picking up, I'd like to just make sure the staff holds those deadlines. You know, let's not accept a lot of stuff after those, nothing after those deadlines. But
Yeah.
make sure that applicants are aware of those, have them in by that timeframe.
When they contact us, Joanna gives them a handout with the dates. It may be handwritten, but they get, if you want your project for this planning board date, we have to have it by here. If it's not in, we'll see you in a month. We don't schedule it to the second one, we'll see you in a month. So,
Joanna, did you have anything else to add? Just going around the room thing?
I'll send out tomorrow a list of zoning update requests to make sure that I have everything that we've discussed for updating our zoning ordinance. Because the zoning board has requested that we start looking at those things, and then they want us to all get together again. So that's gonna be one of our goals for the summer, like we did last year.
Yeah, and I think that is an OP recommendation too, that the two boards have a joint meeting every year.
yeah, and they're all for that. Last night, they mentioned that same thing. Yeah.
Paul, any communication from Bruce Mayberry about how his work is going?
We have sent him the information he requested from the town. Have you heard anything from the school district yet?
No,
He requested a certain packet from us,
Yeah,
and mostly it was from assessing. Sue got that together within an hour of Joanna asking her for it.
Yeah.
And boom, it went right to Bruce. She sent a school, we did a tracking form, and, well, you heard her, we haven't heard nothing.
do you want me to follow up with Sue
That would be,
Levinson?
that would be great.
All right, I will do
Because
that.
bottom line is, if they're gonna drag their feet, then Bruce can't re-justify their impact fees, so they're only hurting themselves.
Jenny, do you want a piece of paper?
I got it.
You know, the town can afford some paper.
Okay, so the last thing would be approval of minutes. We have June 8th
You don't have a copy.
meeting minutes to approve tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of June 8th, 2016.
Motion and a quick second. Any discussion?
Should we discuss the change in the vote?
Sure.
Just to
So,
clarify.
yeah, just to clarify it, so there was the vote was shown in the meeting minutes that it was 5 to 2 locations. It was 5-0 and 1 abstention. And the correct way to do that, since Gary had to recuse himself for one of the applications, and Sue had to recuse herself for one of the applications, that those abstentions should actually be a no vote or a null vote.
No, right.
So that's the correction in the
Yeah,
minutes.
so they'll reflect a.
They'll reflect a
5-0.
5 to 0-0.
Right.
And so when someone is recused, that means they have no voting powers. They're, essentially are not in this room.
That holds though only if they aren't seated by the alternate though, right? Because if an alternate is seated for them, then we still have a full
Yes.
vote.
Right,
Yep.
Okay.
but we had
But
two
the-
members absent that night.
Yeah.
Right, I
So we
know,
had a
but
short bird to begin-
I'm just
short
saying that
board,
for future,
yeah.
it won't
Yeah.
hold for every future, it will only hold
Oh.
if we have an
Right,
absence.
exactly.
And
And it-
there is no alternate to
Yeah.
fill.
And specifically in this case, when it was 5 for and 0 against, one vote wouldn't have swayed it one way or the other.
Right.
But we want to make sure that it's not reflected as an abstention, because then that would count as a vote, which then, that could come into question the actual vote itself, and that person was not actually recused.
So I have a question regarding these particular minutes though.
Yeah. Yep.
The board members didn't recuse themselves, so because of actual, and the minutes are supposed to be what actually happened, shouldn't it be as they were originally done?
No, they should have recused themselves, and if they didn't, but the chair or the board those votes should not be counted. That's, they shouldn't have been acknowledged as votes.
That's my failure on that part.
So this would be to correctly show that those votes should not count.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Tonight when Gary recused himself, you didn't appoint Buzz to fill a spot, and did he vote to make sure the numbers are gonna be equal? Tonight we shouldn't have had a vote on his,
I actually wrote the vote down 6-0 because he didn't.
okay, good job. Just,
Good point, John.
hey, I gotta speak sometime.
You're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, I know.
I actually
I'm paying
asked Buzz,
attention.
shouldn't you be seated?
Yeah.
And mostly, we just wanna make sure that, if somebody picks this up in 4 years from now, that they know that, the intent and that was what the board purpose was at that time. Did I take a vote on these?
Not yet.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous. See, I just say unanimous that way. The amount of votes there are. And since
I think
we've,
technically an abstention if it's 5-4, it's still unanimous.
if it's 4-0,
If there's no dissenting vote, or if there's all dissenting votes and no approved votes, and there's an abstention, it's still a unanimous vote.
yeah, just in the wrong direction, or in the negative direction. Okay, those in favor? I'd entertain a motion to
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Susan. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're done.
Good night.